Hello and welcome back. Tim Hortons, sponsor me. All right, so this is the behind the scenes video of my film, mini documentary, whatever you want to call it, P-Town. If you haven't seen that video already, stop this video, watch it. I'll link it down below and then come back. But basically just wanted to give you guys kind of a little behind the scenes of how I shot it, why I shot it, and what I did for all you filmmakers out there. And maybe you're not a filmmaker, but you just wanted to learn something. I don't claim to be an expert or anything, but I felt like it was important to show how I went about my process of filmmaking so that it might help somebody else or help others. So with this film, I really wanted to tell a cool story. I felt like Preston had a really unique and special story, and I didn't want to punch you in the face with special effects and the newest LUTs and the newest effects from After Effects. That's not really my film style. My film style is more clean footage, storyline, and things of that nature. So if you're here for a special effects video, you're not going to get it. But I like having a lot of crisp, clean footage. I love doing that and just having things play out. So I wanted the true cinematic look for this video. I shot everything at 24 frames a second. Nothing in here except maybe the footage that's from the past and from the, that I got from YouTube is a different frame rate potentially. But everything I shot in this video was at 23.96 frames per second, which is the true cinematic look, and that's what I wanted. I didn't shoot anything at 120 and then use it as 24. I wanted that true cinematic motion blur with this video, and I kind of tested myself to see, can I make a video with no slow motion and all true 24 frames per second and still make it look great, and I think I achieved that. So with further ado, let's break down the initial first scene. With this opening scene, I wanted to have the feeling something was building up. I wanted a lot of tight shots and shots that didn't exactly show his face yet. I also wanted to grab the viewer's attention right away with this golf part. I always try to grab the viewer's attention in the first 5 to 10 seconds of the video because people nowadays have such short attention spans, thanks to TikTok. So I wanted to really make sure to hone in on everybody's attention before we got started. When it cuts to black and says P-Town and he says in quotes, "It's just me, the course, and my game."
It's just me and the course and my game.
I thought that was a very nice setup for what comes next, which is the why Preston Harris plays golf. I just thought that was a really cool scene, and I didn't feel like we needed to see his face just yet. It was kind of like the man behind the curtain. It's like, who are we gonna see here? So I thought that was kind of a cool quote that led us into the why. You gotta have a why. Yeah, if you don't know why you're watching it or why I should care, then nobody's going to care. So we really kind of have to explain right away why we're here.
I gave up on something, and now I'm at a place in my life where I refuse to give up on anything.
The quote, "I refuse to give up on anything," I thought was an amazing quote because that monologue shows us that he has failed in the past, but he is rising again, so we are now rooting for him and wanting to hear more about his story. Everybody likes cheering on somebody that has failed in the past. Kind of like a Tiger Woods story. Everybody loved to see him come back and win that major. So hearing that Preston has failed in the past with golf, but he's making a comeback and he's winning championships was really something cool. And I think it makes us care about him and makes him human because he has failed and now he's not failing. So I think that makes him human. So with this scene, we got more of the backstory, some character building, a training routine, and some certain struggles. We have to really know like who he is and how he does what he does, or we'll never fully understand. We kind of need that behind the scenes look at like, how does he do that? Why does he do that? When does he do that? When, how, who, what, where, when, why, all things that you really need in a video. And if we don't have any of these, then we don't really have a storyline. So also these follow shots were all with a glide cam. Sometimes I think a glide cam is better than a stabilizer because it gives a little bit more of an intense natural look. Sometimes a glide cam can almost look artificial because it's almost too perfect. So when you're kind of doing a training gritty scene, sometimes you want kind of that stabilized glide cam look or like a handheld look, which I kind of went back and forth between. Truth be told, I use a glide cam for almost 90% of my projects. I rarely use a stabilizer. I should probably get into it more, but I just like how glide cams look. So, and everybody does it different.
I played at the PGA National Championship course that Jack built.
Him talking about his time coming in 5th at the PGA course gives him accreditation, I feel. I chose this story over the many other accomplishments and wins because I felt it would give a wow factor to the viewers that may not have heard of some of the other courses that he was playing. Also, it was a Jack Nicklaus course, which gives it another wow factor. So to the average viewer, when they hear PGA National Course, they're saying to themselves, oh wow, that's great. And it is great. And it's probably the most high decorated course that we talked about. So I felt like it was important to use that course to give the audience sort of a wow factor. Preston talking about Tiger Woods is another scene that reinforces his why. Tiger was a huge motivation for the reason he plays golf. Tiger was able to break down barriers and walls, so I thought it was really important for us to touch on the big reason why Preston actually plays golf. On top of his dad introducing him, it's Tiger Woods. Getting the shots of him wearing the Tiger Woods brand was also super important because the B-roll matches the story. I always try to get a B-roll that reinforces the story and blends seamlessly, because if you just have random B-roll of him driving a car, but we're talking about golf, well then it doesn't really match up. But if you were talking about, some of the family struggles that he goes through or his kids, and then you see a picture of his kids, that makes more sense. So you really want to always try to make sure your B-roll is lined up with what the subject is actually talking about. Sometimes I was guilty of this in college. I would just throw random cool shots on top of something that didn't really need that shot. It just looked cool. Also, with that Tiger Woods TW brand shot, I had done my research beforehand. My business partner Matt and Preston used to work together. So I'm like, Matt, why does he play? What is his motivation? And Matt gave me the rundown. And I got lucky that I had someone to give me the rundown of somebody before we went and played, so I didn't have to ask them everything. But before you go shoot a subject interview style or out in the wild of the golf courses, you should really do your research and talk to them on the phone at least to get a broad idea of like why they do what they do. So that way, something as simple as the TW brand doesn't just go over your head and you'd forget to film it. Because if I hadn't done my research, I probably wouldn't have filmed that close of the logo on his back as I did. And I just think it's really important to do your research and really hone in on your subject before you show up.
Winning championships are great, but this brand, the PH brand, is about the youth, and that's what it's about, just inspiring other people to inspire other people.
Again, with the last scene, I wanted to reinforce his why. We know his reason for playing when he was younger and currently, but how about his reasons for the future? That's what this scene sets up. Preston isn't just playing for himself, he's playing so he can one day help the youth. Now that scene touches the heart. If you want a good story or a good business, you're gonna have to touch the heart in some way. My dad always told me that. And when you hear something like, Preston's a golfer, but he also wants to help the youth, people are like, oh wow, that's really nice of him. So people connect on a deeper level than just golf. And I think that's another reason why this video is so important, is so it can show what he wants to do in the future, and hopefully we can help him do that. Also, so when I recorded him in the studio, we did a big dome light here, 90-degree angle light. I had my NTG4 Plus mic on a boom pole. Microphone was above him. What else? I'm trying to think of how exactly I interviewed him. I had a bounce light in the back. I had curtains everywhere to kind of like hone in the light so it wasn't bouncing around the room. When I do interviews, typically with a story like this, I don't really want them looking straight at the camera. I think it's a little bit too intense. So I would sit off to the right of the camera and I would have them look at me there. So I thought that was kind of a cool look for this video. I had written out the script beforehand, the questions I wanted to ask, but I didn't exactly know what he was going to say. So I kind of just had to go off of what I thought he might say. So the script was kind of a rough draft going into it. And I think that really helped in the editing process because I could just kind of follow the script of what he wanted to say. This reason why, that reason why, the struggle, the why, and just keep reinforcing the why we're making this video. So yeah, and I think that's kind of the last thing I had to say about that. Again, with this video, I wasn't looking to do crazy After Effects shots. I was looking for more of a cinematic look, and I feel like I achieved that. We want to keep making videos like this where we just keep telling stories of cool people that deserve it. So if you have anybody that deserves an awesome story like this, comment down below or shoot me a DM on Instagram. It was a blast to make this. I'm glad we made it. I'm excited to make another one. Hopefully this behind the scenes helps you in some way. If you have any comments or questions, shoot them down below. Like I said, a video is not a video unless you know why you're watching it. So thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, do all those annoying, stupid things that YouTubers tell you to do. And I will see you in another video. All right. Peace.